A couple weeks ago, I found a white bean soup and it looks really good. And I was like, you know what? I bet you I can make that higher protein, higher fiber, lower calorie, and still be like a delicious, filling, soothing, comforting, hot soup that I could meal prep and eat for several days in a row. I did that successfully last week. All of my kids liked it. I wish I'd made double. I ran out by Tuesday, so I in fact did not have lunch Wednesday and Thursday like I had planned. When I was eating it on Tuesday, I actually was thinking about a different version. So I'm gonna be trying that one right now. I'm just going to do like 2-ish tablespoons and turn your burner on medium heat. Now, once your butter is melted, you're just gonna add 1 diced up yellow onion. You can do more or less if you would like. Everything that I put into this recipe is optional. You can add things, you can take things out, but just think about the fact that if you like add an extra onion, you're not going to change the macros by very much, but if you decide that a block of cream cheese and a cup of heavy cream sound good in this, which it does, like it would be creamy, that sounds great, but that's going to alter the macros significantly. So just keep that in mind. I am using garlic. I prefer fresh garlic. However, my pre-peeled garlic that was in a bag in the fridge had mold on it. So garlic for the rescue. Like 2 tablespoons. I generally don't measure any seasonings that I put in, but I think I should do that for the sake of you guys. And that looks about right. So 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of onion powder. I'm gonna use about 1/2 teaspoon of oregano, 1/2 teaspoon of thyme. I'm gonna add a little bit of black pepper. I'm not measuring that, I'm sorry. Okay, now that the onions and the garlic are all sauteed with the seasonings, I'm going to be adding in carrot, celery, and chopped up mushroom. This is 2 celery stalks, 4 carrots, peeled and sliced, and then this was probably like 1/2 cup before I diced them all up of mushrooms. I'm just gonna add that in there. Not about to add beef broth. I'm about to add beef bone broth. Regular beef broth has little to no protein, and bone broth has 10 grams. This is about $5 a container. I'm not gonna lie to you, it's very unfortunate, but that is what it is. These are 32 ounces each. I'm using 2 of them because I only used 1 of the chicken bone broth when I made the recipe last week. And I remember when I was like heating it up, wishing that it wasn't as thick, that it was like a little bit more like soup. Yeah, I think I'm only gonna use like 1/2 of this. So we'll save this other 1/2 and throw it in the fridge for something else later this week. Okay, now the star of the show, the beans. I am using 3 cans of the Great Northern white beans. You can use any beans you want. A very important step is to actually empty these cans into a strainer and rinse it very well before adding it to your pot. Okay, I rinsed my beans very thoroughly. Now they're just gonna go into the pot. This does not need to be boiling yet. I've been debating if I wanna add a can of Rotel, so there's some tomatoes in here. No, I think I'm gonna leave it. I think I'm gonna leave it out this time and we will see how this all marries together and see if tomatoes would have been a good addition. There are 2 other ingredients. I'm going to, actually 3. There's 3 other ingredients I'm gonna be adding to this, but I do wanna let it boil for a while. There are carrots and celery in here, so this needs to boil for at least 20 minutes for me to feel like they are fork tender and done and not like crunchy and disgusting. Okay, this baby has now boiled for about 20 minutes. I'm gonna turn the heat off and take the lid off. If you like this consistency or you do not have an immersion blender, you can skip this step. This is an immersion blender. You can get them on Amazon. I'm pretty sure I got this one for like $15. Now be super careful because even though we turn the heat off, it is still really hot. Now you can do a lot or a little. I don't do a ton. I just like really thick, creamy soups. And when you're not adding like flour or heavy cream or cream cheese, you really don't get that like thick coziness. But if you like really brothy soups, you don't need to do this at all. Okay, I think that's good enough for my preference. So now at this point, we are actually going to turn the heat back up. And I am going to add 2 small zucchinis that I quartered and 1 cup of spinach. Now this was fresh spinach. I picked all of the stems off because I am a weirdo. I know that, you don't have to do that. But I had about 1 cup of spinach. I picked all the stems off and then I diced it up and rinsed it really well. Now the last ingredient I'm going to add is going to be 1/2 cup of Parmesan cheese. Now I'm just gonna mix that in and I'm just gonna let it simmer for like 10 minutes, just long enough to get the zucchini and the spinach cooked, and then I'm gonna come back and try a bite. Okay, I let that simmer with the lid on for about 10 minutes. I wasn't sure what to expect, but it looks delicious. Does this look delicious, Tate? Now I have a couple of different glass containers I'm gonna portion this in. A regular portion for the soup that I made last Sunday was 1 cup. Now, if you eat more than 1 cup of soup, that's completely understandable. This is very filling. It is a lot of vegetables and a lot of beans and bone broth, and it was very filling. 1 cup felt like enough for me for my lunch. Now, one of these is going to be 1.5 cups, and that is because I'm going to be home. I'm going to be working from home tomorrow. So my toddler will be here with me for lunch, and he did really enjoy the last white bean soup that I made. So tomorrow when I heat up my lunch, I will take 1/2 cup out of the bowl after I have heated it up and give it to him. Come on, buddy. Halloween is over, weirdo. I'll say it looks really delicious. I am excited to look up the exact macros for this. I will put them in the caption. It is still really so very hot. Oh my God. So you guys are gonna have to make this one and then follow along next week when I make the other one that I had originally made last week but didn't film. I didn't know how good it was gonna be, to be honest. And you guys are just gonna have to vote. So good.